Exodus chapter 20, verse 18. Now when all the people saw the thunder and the flashes of lightning and the sound of the trumpet and the mountain smoking, the people were afraid and trembled, and they stood far off. So just like that mountain there in the back, right now covered in cloud. We've seen the third tallest mountain this morning, and it was not covered in cloud, but then the cloud moved over and it was a bit covered. Now just imagine that mountain there in the back and now covered with clouds. So this is something like they would have seen the mountain covered with cloud, a beautiful sight. But there's more here. It's not just a mountain covered with cloud. Okay, there's thunder, flashes of lightning, like the mountain smoking. So it's a huge storm ultimately on that. We see it's just a natural storm. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of imagine, but the fact that they were so afraid, right? They would have seen lots of storms even by then, but this was something they haven't seen. This is not a normal kind of a storm. So in the sense, it can be natural, but it's a more natural than it is normally natural. So it's an exception to the rule. And so all of this, and they saw it, and what happened is they were afraid, they trembled. It makes sense. When you see God in His glory, then yeah, sure, you can't stand ultimately before God. And so you are going to tremble. You stand in front of these mountains, you stand in awe of the beauty of the creation of God. Just now imagine, this is not just the creation that you see, the mountains that you see, but the Creator itself in conversation with Moses, giving him these words, right, these commandments. So it makes perfect sense to tremble. And it would have been nice if Christians would have trembled a bit more in front of God than they do. So they stood far off. Verse 19. And said to Moses, "You speak to us, and we will listen. But do not let God speak to us, lest we die." So yes, their reaction to that is, Moses, yeah, okay, it's fine. You speak to God. We don't want to. You're going to be our mediator between us and God. We don't want to mediate ourselves. We can't ourselves come before God. Now, this is a huge difference between the normal religions of the day, because in all the other religions, yes, they had a priest and all of that, but all the people as well, they had their house gods where they would communicate with their gods. And in this case, these guys are no. We're not. We don't want to. No, this God is like way up there. We can't do this. Okay, so we just need this one mediator between man and God, between us as a nation of Israel or budding nation of Israel and God. So Moses, you're going to be our spokesperson. And that makes sense. I mean, yes, this is how it worked in the Old Testament. Okay, more the high priest ultimately, which is going to be, and those intercessors. Now, under the New Testament system, we have that intercessor, and that is Jesus. Now, so Jesus is God Himself, and in this case, we can come to God anytime we want. So we need not be. We don't need a pastor to be our mediator. We don't need other Christians to be our mediator. Too often, Christians like other Christians. I spoke with a pastor yesterday concerning that. Christians like other pastors or other holy, supposedly missionaries or other kinds of people, trust me, I know, to be their intercessor, to stand in the gap for them. I've recorded about this. I'm not going to go over this again. But under the new covenant system, that's not something we need. Okay, we don't need, that doesn't mean we can't ask other people to pray for us, right? But we can go straight through the true intercessor, the one mediator between man and God, which is Jesus Christ. And Jesus God Himself. So, in other words, every human that believes in Jesus, who in the Son, can go to the Son. It's not like that in the Old Testament system then anymore, where there's just the sphere, and then we need one mediator, in this case Moses, to stand, because now we have the true mediator. Yes, but it's not the mediator between man and God, because it's God Himself. And that's a beauty. So there's the beauty of that we have above them. Right? This is not about nation building. This is not about building a country in this planet. This is about building the true kingdom. A Christian with Jesus on the throne, our intercessor for us. So you need to understand as well the negative in the sense of this, and then the positive of what it is. And it ultimately Moses pointed towards Christ coming. because he's a temporary mediator, but Jesus is the ultimate mediator. He's not just a man, but he's God himself. And this is clearly explained as well there in Hebrews, as we will still study as we go along. So yes, the beauty of it is, but I said earlier as well that the fear, we must not treat Jesus as just long-haired hippie with blue eyes kind of idea, and he's just our little brother kind of idea. We need to have respect for him, like the people had here, but with a difference. We can now, each individual Christian can directly go to God, right? Because they can go to the Son, which is God himself, Jesus Christ, through the Spirit. Okay, so a little bit, few more views of the lake here. Okay, so mountains up there. Now the people in the yaks moved off. I don't know where. I guess they're riding the yaks. They're yeah. Now foreigners are not allowed to go there because yeah, locals can go. But they have need permits as well for that. But foreigners, we can't go further than this lake here.